here we have Yashu Rao with us. Hi, Yashu.
Hey,
Hi, how are you doing?
I am great. How are you?
I am good. It's so clear, exciting to meet you again. I can't stop raving about you. I've just been introducing you as being the plus size model, lifestyle coach, confidence coach. You're also a sex educator. Doing so many things, and I want the audience to know more about you. So let's
Yeah.
start with how did you become or plan to become a plus size model?
I will definitely say that journey was like a roller coaster ride. As you know, being a plus size woman in a Desi community is seen almost like a disability. So for me, I went from a space of self hate to a space of self love. And it was a journey. It was truly a journey of self discovery. And once I started to gain a little bit more confidence by, taking pictures, selfies. This is when Instagram first started. Instagram modeling just started becoming a thing. And brands would reach out to me, especially for like earring modeling and stuff like that, accessory modeling. One day somebody was like, "Hey, why don't you take a professional picture?" And I was like, "No." They're like, "Yes, you should." I was like, "Okay." So I went to one photo shoot with which was with my company Slick, right? I'm a communications and HR for the company Slick, which is a fashion line and a women's empowerment company. So I went into one of their events they were hosting, which was a photo shoot event, and I took my first ever pictures, like first portfolio pictures. And I remember I looked at it, I was like, "Oh, that's me. Oh my God, I look good." And that, my confidence. Those pictures I used to apply for my first brand photo shoot. And then from there, it's just, the ball kept rolling. I'm proud to say I'm one of the first few plus size South Indian American models in the world, right? So I carry that title so proudly. And for me, I remember I met my model coach, and she was like, "You are super unique. I am picking you up." So I'm officially trained, a graduate of Model Behavior University, under the tutelage and teachings of the Danielle Baker, international model coach and booker. So for me, the education plus the experience, having a network like Slick to support me and empower me, it gave me the strength to take on this like whole modeling thing. And my whole fundamental basis for that was there are these beauty standards, especially in the Desi community. We have these Eurocentric beauty standards, right? The size zeros, the 5'10s, all of that. And to me, I said, listen, if I need to change these beauty standards, I need to break these stereotypes of what beauty is, then I need to be on the forefront of beauty. What is the forefront of beauty? Models. I'll be a model. I'll change the narrative in the modeling scene, right? As to what representation looks like. And that way we're making a difference, right? And we're breaking those beauty standards, and we're creating a new narrative. So that's kind of how the whole modeling thing worked for me. And I'm proud to say I'm now a freelance model. I work with companies and brands. I'm very specific. I only work with brands, photographers, companies that support my beliefs, especially plus size awareness and representation, as well as other, very important things that make up a company and their belief system, their mission statements and things like that. I am my own creative director. I'm the founder of Air Studios, entertainment conglomerate. So that's like a fashion entertainment industry altogether. So I represent myself, my brand, and I work with many creatives all over the United States, a lot on the East Coast, because that's my native. So,
So
yeah.
when is the time, like how, be plus size or be skinny or be perfect. There's never a perfect, you know what I mean? Like, uh, you be as perfect as possible, but there's no stopping to how the definition of perfect actually is. Nobody knows what perfect is. Just what you see online or you see on the models that are walking. That's plus like the perfect size or the perfection is that. But nobody actually gets to perfection, even if you are perfect. So when is it that you started embracing the little bumps and the little curves and the extra, the love handle or the puppy fat that you have? I'm sure you were conscious initially, but when did you let go of it?
So I love this question. When did I let go of it? Okay, so for all of you who are listening, the question was, when did you let go of it? And I'm gonna answer that question. So for me, especially growing up in a very Orthodox family, I never really wore anything that revealed skin a lot. I had never worn dresses that were shorter than my knees, my shins almost. I never wore sleeveless in my life, right? It's crazy. But I remember when I first, and even my first photo shoot that I talked about, I wore this like top, which was almost like a salwar kameez with leggings. It looked kind of like an American salwar kameez. But coming back to the story, right? I remember I went to my first ever brand photo shoot and they gave me this dress. It was a short sleeveless dress. My heart just sank. I ran into the closet at the venue and my eyes were like filling up with tears because I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? I've never worn a short dress before. I've never worn this. What will my parents say? What will the Desi community say? I called my best friend and I'm like crying and I'm telling her to give me this dress. I don't know what to do. She said, Yashu, you know, you don't have to do something you don't want to. Just leave if you don't want to do that. And then I was like, but I can't. When I made a decision to become a model, I made a decision that things are going to be uncomfortable, but I have to go through it if I'm trying to make a statement, if I'm trying to make a point, if I'm trying to empower women to dress the way they want, to feel sexy in the skin they are in, to wear whatever it is that makes them feel good, I have to take that. I have to. It was a decision I made. So I was like, you know, gathering myself together, trying to like really figure out what I want to do. And that's when one of the company ladies came inside, and I'll never forget this. She said, Yashu, first of all, we will never put you in a dress you're going to look bad in, because then you're representing our dress in a bad way, right? Why would we publish that? And second thing, sometimes, Yashu, no boundary is the boundary. And like that hit, I was like, whoo, right? And so I remember I got up, I was like, okay, I got this. I went inside, I wore the dress. I have never felt as sexy and beautiful as I did that day. And I never looked back. And now I wear dresses, I wear sleeveless, I show off my midriff, I show off my love handles. I am so confident about my body. And then also, you know, people appreciate plus size women more than people think. I know that a lot of, for example, dating, like dating is a really hard one. It's one that crushes your confidence, especially when people leave you and reject you and dump you, right? But I also know that people were very much attracted to my body. I just never saw it that way. Now I know, like, you know, when people, it's the small things. I'm not saying this is necessarily acceptable, but sometimes it's the small things, like if I'm in a restaurant or something and someone like, ooh, looks at me, you know, that's just, oh no, I'm cute, you know, like you feel that boost of confidence in the little things. Of course, it's never acceptable to harass people, to do anything that's, you know, over the threshold. So I'll give you that, right? Never ever engage in things like that. But at the same time, even if your girlfriend says like, "Oh, you look cute, honey," you know, I'd say, "Oh, thank you, honey." Like, take it. I know you and I were talking earlier. When people compliment you, receive it. That's the hardest thing about people who don't have confidence. If someone says, "Oh, you look nice," people are like, "Oh no, this whole thing. Oh, this is like 10 years old. No. Oh no. If someone says you look cute, say, "Thank you. I appreciate you." Start up taking in the compliments, receiving them, because they will then convert into like confidence. And that's
Right.
the beautiful part. And I love when I get confident, like compliments nowadays, because I receive them. I say, "Thank you. You look kind of handsome yourself. Thank you." You know, taking
Right.
that in.
So when you know, there's this misconception about how models have no brains. Like if you're pretty, you do not have brains. So when I started modeling, it was a shock because I'm a businesswoman who was converted suddenly into a model, which means either she is not doing well, or either she was actually dumb, and you know she couldn't. She just decided to do something stupid. So when you started modeling, what was it like? I mean, how, did people appreciate it? Did you know? Did you
So
get
just for the record, I'm doing my PhD doctoral thesis in nuclear engineering. So ain't nobody I'm not smart. Okay. So let me start off by saying that. Okay. Not to mention in a top 10 university.
right?
Okay. That in there too. So with that being said, again, my PhD is something that I have, but at the end of the day, say something happened, funding got cut, and I lost my PhD opportunity, I'm still a smart woman. Nobody in this world can tell me I'm not, okay? So that is something you have to clarify. Now, remove the education component. You can be a model, you can just have a high school education, but if you know how to work the world, honey, you smart too. Smartness and intellect are like, you cannot compare that using books, knowledge, university, education. No, smart has nothing to do with any of those things. So the first title, it's models are not smart. Listen, modeling is a business of itself. If you know how to work the industry, I'm sorry, ain't nobody smarter than you. Okay. So how to make that very clear. It has nothing to do with the brains, the industry in itself. And you know this, we are both models. There's a lot that goes into it. And I hear people often say like, wow, Yashu, you're so this, you're so that. How do you know how to do? How is it that if I'm a model, I can go like this, I can do all of this, right? Because it's smart. I'm smart in the way that I'm working myself, right? And being that's a whole nother level of smartness. So I hate this whole dialogue about not being smart because that's non-existent. So, whew, now we got that off the plate. I would also say for me, being a model, getting into the modeling thing, it was more of just perception. It's always perception. People think like, I know in the Desi community, when I told my mom, right, eventually I told my mom, like, Mom, I'm doing this little modeling thing. The first question is like, what, taking your clothes off and just running? I'm like, who said modeling is being nude? Like, no, what are you talking about? In most of my pictures, I'm wearing a sari. Like, what are you talking about? Right? So it's the perception. People have this perception that, oh, models are this, this, this. People who work in the creative industry are stupid. Like, no, you're not creatively smart is what I mean to say, right? So I think that distinction is so important. It's just another industry, it's another field. It's like, I don't know anything about computer science. I'm stupid when it comes to computer science, but I challenge you. Can you take a photo shoot? Do you know what aperture to use on your like for the lighting? Do you know what to do with your camera? Do you know what kind of focus you need? No, I don't think so, because it's a whole nother study,
Right.
and that's an important thing.
Right.
Ooh, that goes
So, I mean, you know, with modeling, it's a lot of hard work. So you need to be fit, your skin has to be fresh, it has to be clean, it has to glow. I mean, there are a lot of things to modeling. Like you need to know how to pose. And posing is not easy because you need to hold a pose. And that could be tough because you need to hold a muscle the way it is for like longer than expected. Like people think it's easy, but when you have to keep smiling for like 10 seconds or 20 and just hold on to it, I mean, that's tough. When you have to bend backwards and then, you know, just hold, it's difficult. So you need to be like really healthy and fit and flexible to be able to do that. So how do you maintain your lifestyle? Is it hard, or how does it come naturally to you?
right. So I think for me, the whole concept of like being fit or whatever, it does take hard work. I'm not going to lie. And I do maintain a fit lifestyle. I'm working on that. I work on that all the time, right? So for me, I work out at the gym 3 times a week. I'm vegetarian by culture. I eat healthy. I am very watchful of like what I'm eating, what goes in my body, because I'm very aware of my body and how my body is behaving. And that's on a spiritual level as well, right? So I'm very cautious what goes in my body. But apart from that, I think like when it comes to posing and things like that, right? Practice makes progress is what my mentor, Aaronisha Hamilton, always used to say. And I really do stick with that. I really do appreciate every small improvement I made. I remember when I went to my first photo shoot, I didn't know what I was doing. I just stood there like I didn't know what I was doing, right? now
Yeah.
you learn so many different things. You learn, how to do this, the different faces, the angles, the lighting, what you need to do. And they do take effort. It's a lot of learning and practicing that has to happen. So when it comes to, being able to pose and do certain things, I think as a plus size model, I have to say this, that I'm not going to be able to do something that maybe a petite model can do, or maybe someone who has skinny legs can do, because I have chunky thighs, right? I always say this. I love when I go to a photo shoot and there might be a creative director or somebody on set and they tell me like, okay, cross your legs. Cross my legs. I can sit like Basha style. Like if you want Bahubali style, I give you that. But
Yeah.
my chunky thighs are crossing. Okay, I cannot cross my chunky thighs. I can't. I can't. Like literally, like there. And I'm literally sitting like like a priest, like a saint. I literally I can't cross my legs. So there's some that like plus size women may or may not be able to do. Some plus size women are very flexible. I've seen people like who are able to do some really flexible things, like get their leg over their head, and I can't, right? So I think being mindful of your body and then also knowing that, okay, I can't do this, and that's okay. This is what my body can do. This is what I'm doing for my body, and this is what I can do. And if you cannot, and I always say this, like if you're looking for a certain, and this is why I'm very cautious with the photographers I work with, photographers, brands, companies, because I remember recently I went to a photo shoot and they sent me a concept board to like bring some items to the shoot. And first of all, everything they sent was it was petite model stuff. They sent me pictures of petite models. So they're sending me all of these pieces that wouldn't be in a typical plus size woman's closet, like a pencil skirt, not a pencil skirt, I'm sorry, like a tennis skirt, and like some other thing, like like a certain type of boyfriend jeans, which they don't even make for plus size women. And even if they do, they don't look as flattering necessarily for plus size women, right? Because only some things work and some things don't work. So I was just like, I go to the set and I go there and I remember like I was really struggling because everyone there was petite almost, right? There was maybe one or two people who were not, who were like, yes, plus size women, yes, go. But in my head, I'm thinking, where was the representation if you're not bringing, a concept that's going to work with the plus size body, right?
Right.
So and I tell photographers too, like, I don't know what your comfort is. I don't know if you shot with the plus size woman before, but please let me know if especially when I'm reaching out, right? I might reach out to a photographer. I say, hey, absolutely love your work. I wanted to know if you're open to working with plus size models and if that's an experience that if that's something that you have experience with. I would really love to collaborate with you and see what we can create together. Make it clear, because people are just don't shoot plus size women. The angles and whatnot. I know I had a photographer a couple of months ago, and this person just had so much difficulty, and he was uncomfortable with the amount of flesh and skin on my body.
Wow.
He was uncomfortable. He kept telling me like, oh, I've never worked with that. I've never worked with this much before. Like, I've never worked with, like, the lighting is hard, man. Like, that's a lot of skin I got to work with. And I'm here just like, I was just taking it. I was doing the best I could do. I know I'm an experienced model, I would like to say, right? So I have some knowledge. I know what I'm doing is like not bad, right? And so for me, I kept thinking to myself, like, okay, just get through this photo shoot, never work with him again. And I'm not going to, because I could clearly see this person had a hard time. And when it came to editing pictures and stuff, oh, that was a whole nother level having to deal with him. And so it's these things. So I'm very vocal about like, here's what I can do, what I can offer. Please check out my portfolio, right? And I also let people know, hey, I'm creative. I want to try something. I know I went to a photo shoot. I said, can I try something? I like got down. They had a stool. I put my legs up on a stool like a V, and I was just like doing crazy shit, So I was like, I like to have fun and be creative too, if I know that the creatives are there with me. They're like, yes, girl, work it. Then I know I'm going to, versus someone who might just be like, yeah, oh God, I don't even know how to get this angle in. Okay. Clearly you don't have experience working with plus size models, not be recommending you to other plus size models. Thank you. Your work might be great, but I ain't ever working with you again, right?
Right. So, I mean, in terms of the fashion industry itself, I mean, I've been with my friends who are plus size as well, and I don't see a lot of options when it comes to clothes. I mean, forget the sizes. Sizes any which way a problem, but the designs, they look so manly. They don't look appealing. There are no polka dots available for women. You know, there are no florals available. They're just like dull duds when it comes to fashion. Like you don't have the cuts, you don't have the flow, you don't have the various things that maybe women who are petite or women who are like I'm talking about like an 8 or a 10 US UK size. The women who can wear that, I mean, they have everything available to them. I mean, that's a max size that I'm talking about. But anything above a 10 or a 12, then you're gone. You don't have options. You have to deal with whatever is available. And if you are by any chance above 16, then you're not going to get anything. You're not going to get to wear any skater dresses. You're not going to get those skirts, those flowy skirts. And then you also get charged additional just because apparently the garment length is bigger than the petite women. So what do you have to say
Which
about
is
that?
actually a myth, and I love to talk about this. So it's crazy. Now there are, especially with the plus size movement that's been happening over the past decade, we do see a lot of plus size brands. Torrid is a really famous one, for example. Lane Bryant is a really famous one as well, right? And then we also have like some of the more boutique style places, Eloquii, all of these places, and of course Fashion Nova has been doing a really great job as well. Online market is also booming when it comes to plus size clothing and apparel. However, you're absolutely right. The selection is limited. There's options, the selection is limited. The options that we do have are very high priced. For example, like you said, floral dress, right? In the regular sizes might be $19.99, $20. The same dress plus size version will be selling for $89.99, $90.
Right.
There's a big discrepancy in pricing, which I think is completely unfair. And I actually went to the root, like wanted to do some research on this. And I talked to one of my friends who's a designer. And she said to me, people think that it's because big size, more fabric, more price. But that's a myth. It's not true. When you're buying material and you're buying material on the bulk, the gap, the caption, the amount of pricing that's going on the fabric is cents.
Right.
Just nickels and dimes. Like that's the difference, that discrepancy. If you need to make a plus size dress and a petite dress, the difference in actual clothing cost is a couple of cents.
Wow.
So it's not about it. It's all just the market. It's the way the market is going on, right? Now,
Right.
zoom a little bit more, you do have issues, especially when it comes to like pattern things. And that's why you may see a lot more like not so many patterns in plus size apparel. It does cost more to manufacture a plus size outfit that has pattern, because what happens is maybe you have like a floral design. For a petite, you need like one length to make the flower, like the flower starts here, the flower ends here. But for a plus size woman, the flower starts here, the flower ends here. It's like mismatch. So you need more fabric to bring it together, and so that the floral pattern matches again. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So because the patterns have to match when you're doing like a floral design, you need more fabric. So in that, and more labor that comes with it. So in that aspect, I get it. Plus size clothing may be more expensive, especially when you got more pattern and stuff. So when it comes to, plus size apparel, that's why it's like really difficult and tough sometimes to find something that works for your budget and works for you. And that's why with my hope in the next decade is to release, Air Studios fashion line, which will be accessible to anyone who uses Air Studios, as well as making sales. We'll have an e-commerce website where people can shop from Air Studios, which will have everything from normal regular sizes to plus size sizes that will have stretch. It'll have fabric that fits the body, that contours right, and be making sure that you're able to look good, as well as like leggings and other products that I hope to sell with Air Studios that are going to make sure that you're looking nice and tucked in and good and fresh and clean and beautiful, right? So we're going to make that happen with Air Studios. But there is a need in the industry. So for anyone who's watching this and you're a designer, hey, help the plus size community a little bit. Let me know if you want to collaborate. I'm with it.
Perfect. So when it comes to lifestyle coaching, what do you mean by lifestyle coaching? Confidence coaching is one. I mean, I get it from the word, but what do you mean by lifestyle coaching?
Right. So lifestyle coaching is a huge industry that's been booming again in the past decade. And it's really about being able to balance the different aspects of life. I like to say there's like 10 aspects of life, right? And every aspect, we're always working to improve every single one. You'll never hit 100, but the goal is to get better with each of them. And that could look, physical, that's, financial, social, environmental, material, so many different forms, right? Relationships, everything falls into these 10 aspects of life. So when it comes to lifestyle coaching, people sometimes struggle. Like, for example, I work with people who are like, I really want to have a boyfriend, I really want to have a girlfriend, but you don't shave, you don't wake up on time, and you don't have a job, you're struggling to make ends meet. How are you going to support this girlfriend that you want to have? Right? So let's rewind. Let's work on these things so that ultimately we hit the goal that we're going for. Or someone who's like, listen, I have to pay off $10,000. I'm struggling, right? Okay, well, let's make a financial plan. Let's see what we can do. How much are you earning? Is there a possibility for you to get a side job? What can we do? So being able to talk things out. And for me, that's why I'm a lifestyle and confidence coach, but my company, #HappyYashu, is a combination of therapy, mentoring, and traditional coaching. I combine the three so I can make customized plans, action plans for each of my clients. So we're guaranteed. It's like I deliver results. You're guaranteed to meet the goal. It might take us time because there's so much other backlog stuff we got to take care of, right? Like ultimate goal is to get a girlfriend, but all the way here, you first need to learn how to like get up in the morning, get a job, go do your job, clean up yourself, be a nicer person, right? You have to learn how to do all of these things before you can welcome that in your life.
Right.
See this a lot. I see it with men a lot, right? Men are just like, I don't care. And like they grow out these like beards and they're like not upkeeping on themselves. They smell bad. And I'm like, dude, let's start with going to the store. And I recommend them. I say, I'm recommending you Old Spice, this particular deodorant, buy this. But when I tell you, like I work every single step. If my client is having trouble with his schedule, his or her schedule, I work with female clients, male clients, they're having a tough time balancing. Oh, I have like 3 kids. I have a job, full-time job. I have to do this. I don't have time to cook. I'm having to order McDonald's every day. I will go to the extent of finding and recommending recipes, which are one-step recipes, cooker recipes, things like that. Like I deal with everything when it comes to life. And that's why I'm a lifestyle coach, because everything makes a difference. Okay, what lunch for your kid is not eating healthy at school? Okay, let's look at snack options. So I'll pull together, what are the grocery stores in your area? I'll do the research. I'll find, okay, well, I found that, this is like 6-pack for $2.99. This is allowed in your budget. I think this is something you should buy. So helping them overcome these like little things, which make a huge difference for the ultimate goal. And that it takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of effort and research, but it's so fulfilling because I always love hearing my clients say, Yashu, like we did it, like I won, like I got it, I did it. And that's the best reward you can ever get. So I'm here to help people with life, relationships, sex. I really like this girl. I really want to engage with her. What do I do? Right. And that's where my Happy Yashu introduced the sex workshops, Sex on My Mind, and soon to launch podcast, Sex on My Mind, No Filter. Right. Same reason, because I realized there's a really huge information gap, knowledge gap when it comes to sexuality, sensuality, intimacy, communication, relationships, dating. So that's why I opened up that opportunity for people to get educated and learn how to do these things for themselves, for their improvement, for their overall life achievement. So yeah.
So is it perfect to call you the female Will Smith from Hitch?
Oh, no.
Nah, that is just a joke. I mean, tell me what is one of the, that was just a joke. I was kidding. So one tip or that you might want to give the audience about how they can improve their lifestyle, like maybe the smallest thing that can make like a big difference. I mean,
Structure.
anything. Okay.
Structure is key. Structure is key. You need to have structure in your life. What does that mean? Having, for example, morning rituals, evening rituals, and so maybe your day in between can be a little bit more fluid, but having structure is going to give you the best results. And the reason I say, and you can apply structure to everything. Social media for me is structured. So for
Okay.
example, I know a lot of people, and if you're guilty of this, raise your hand or like point to yourself. How many of you have been on social media and you're just mindlessly just scrolling, and you look at the clock and you're just like, oh damn, it's already 30 minutes. Like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I rarely fall into that.
Oh,
I struck social time. Mondays, I look for content that is about recipes or about modeling stuff. Tuesdays, I look for recipes. Wednesdays, I look for wellness tips and tricks and womanhood, sexuality, that kind of stuff. Thursdays, I look at recipes again, right? Because I love cooking. I really use it a lot for cooking. And then Friday is for fashion. Saturday, Sunday, I'm not on social media. So for me, because I've structured, I have themes for my social media. Once I find a couple of recipes, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I found a couple. I don't have the urge to get back on social media. Now, because social media is also work for me, because I am an Instagram model, I have to really be diligent about cutting my time on social media, the time spent, because if not, I'm going to drain myself out. So it's important to me, like work is me networking. It's me communicating, setting dates with my photographers or network or, doing the communication things I do, making a post. All of those for me fall as work. But anything other than that, that mindless scrolling, I don't allow it because I set my themes. Once I get what I need, that's it. I don't go beyond that. I don't, and that's why people are like, oh, like, have you seen this TikTok video about this? I'm like, no. I wish I did, but I haven't because like I don't waste my time doing mindless things. I'm very intentional as a woman. I'm very intentional in the way I move. If I'm moving a certain way, there's intention in it. That's period. If you're doing an action and there's no intention behind it, that's not a good lifestyle.
right.
And that doesn't mean to choke yourself. I sometimes mindlessly do things too. Like I'm normal, I'm human too, right? And I always tell, just because I'm a coach doesn't mean I'm perfect. I struggle. I was just telling Shamili here, like, listen, I am struggling in the love department right now. I give love advice and everything to people, but I myself am struggling because I'm human. I'm not immune, right, to human struggles. I'm a human too. And a lot of the experiences that I share with my clients is because I've been through it or I'm going through it or whatever. So it's like, being proactive about what it is that you're currently going through. And then associating with the right community, the right people, right? Talking to the right people, right resources. I have a mentor that I look up to. I go to advice. She probably looks at me like, Yashu is such a kid. She don't know what she's doing, right? She probably looks at me like that. But in other aspects, she probably looks at me and says like, wow, Yashu is a smart woman. I need to learn that, right? So we feed off of each other. Community makes difference. So I feel like I threw in a couple of tips in there. I know you said one, but there's a couple of really amazing tips. And I hope you guys will take opportunity of it. And again, if y'all need support, you got me.
So that takes me to the sex workshop parts that you do. I mean, that's really interesting. How did you go about it? Was there initial hesitance with it, or it just, you just got onto it and be like, I just want to do it? Because I think that you openly talk about sex, something that, in India, it's like, oh, you're just too open, you're too forward. Maybe you're asking for it. It's the first thing is maybe you're asking for it and you're just wanting to have sex. So how do you navigate through it?
So I would say the way I got involved in it was because I was scared to talk about it. I got involved because I was scared about it.
Right.
But then I think when I started to engage in the conversation about it, I realized how much information was lacking, how much people didn't know. I would get DMs from men, a lot of men from India, who would DM me saying really disrespectful things. I realized they don't know better. They don't know that that's not the way to do it. Right? So for me, I realized there's a knowledge gap and someone needs to fill this gap. Like someone needs to get strong and be strong minded and say, okay, you know what? I need to educate people. I encourage Indian, Desi, American, any country people, right? Anyone to engage in happy, healthy, harmonious sexual relationships. I encourage learn how to do it so that you can be happy, your partners, whatever, can be happy, and that at the end of the day, no one is suffering. And that's the most important part. And I always say, like, I've had my personal trauma with this subject matter, and that also gave me, the motivation to say, hey, we need to end certain types of things. If we don't educate people, that becomes a really big problem in the longer run. The limitation of knowledge, the restriction of sexual expression is, I believe, the root cause of people becoming rebellious in nature in the subject matter, right? And then that's why they do things which is out of there's no consent for it, or might be abusive, or might be disrespectful. And it happens on both sides, men and women. Even women engage in this, but then a guy approaches and they just go like, oh my God, get away from it. No, because deep down, you want it too, but you're not able to appreciate and express yourself and the subject matter. So that narrative needs to change. So learn strategies. And it happens not just the Indian culture, right? It happens in all cultures. I feel like I've met people in America too who really just don't know a lot of things, who don't know how to communicate. I've met women and men who are like, Yashu, like, what's a blowjob? Like I've had conversations, which in the beginning were a little difficult for me. Like, okay. But now I'm like, okay, you know what? Let's turn this into an educational moment. This is not laugh and get, no, this is like, I'm talking science. I'm talking like about anatomy. What does the body look like? What is the male anatomy? What is the female anatomy? What is it that I'm trying to teach you guys? What is the education that we're bringing forward? Now with the podcast, this is why I call it Sex on My Mind, No Filter, that is more conversational, because even having conversations about sex is healthy, right? So, I love the structure for the podcast. Y'all are going to love the podcast because I'm going to talk about real life incidents, right? That happen, is not something that just maybe happened to me. It happens to a lot of people. And you would be surprised, like, and I was talking to someone about the pilot episode, and I was going to talk about, the guy is a metaphor for like all of the people who may be experiencing this. The girl is all of the people who may be experiencing this, right? And that's what I'm going to talk about on the pilot episode. And so it's like, you'll see that you may be like, oh my God, I did this to Yashu. She's talking about me on the podcast. No, because like you, there's 10 million other people who probably done the same thing that I'm talking about, right? So it's just having these conversations about it so that we can normalize it and be like, oh, I should have just shaved. I should have just shaved. So now when men or women who hear this, they go, you know what? I'm going to shave. Like, I'm so happy I heard this story. Now I know that this can happen. I'll just go do this, or I'll just go do that. So it's the conversations which are going to help that.
So is it safe to say that sex is actually a way of self-expression which people don't appreciate or do not want to accept as an expression, a form of expression?
Yeah, of course. It's like another feeling. It's just another emotion. It's like another, in fact, it's more than just a feeling and emotion, right?
Right.
I feel like sexual expression can be taken in a spiritual sense where you want to express yourself. It's a form of love, communication, love language, right? Body touch, is a form of love language. Some people may not be expressive, may not buy you bouquets of flowers, but when they kiss you down your spine, that's them telling you, baby, I love you and nothing can separate you and me. You're my everything, right? So I feel like, you know, sex can be taken in so many different ways. Sex is also the way that you procreate, you make children too, right? So being able to say, listen, I want to have my child with you, that's expression too. And how do you do that? Through sex, right? It's not necessarily a military job like, okay, got married, got to have sex, got to have children. No, it can also be like, I love you so much that I want to create a child with you because I want our legacy to continue, right? So expression sexually is a beautiful thing, right? And then on the other side too, right? Being able to express yourself. We all have our inner feelings, you know, the kinky side. We all have that. That's normal. The same way where I could be a humorous person, I could also be a very kinky person. It's a personality trait. So being restricted on how you express that is not healthy. If I'm a funny person, hello, I'd like to tell a couple of jokes. If I'm a kinky person, I would like to explore that self. I would like to explore that part of myself, right?
Right.
I feel like it will be big because it involves two other people, or like it involves two people, one other person. It involves a lot of risks, which that's why I feel like there's so much taboo. I think sex is always healthy and it's a form of expression. We see it in our culture. We see it everywhere in the world, right? But because of the risk that comes with it, like for example, pregnancy, STDs, things like that, people are like, sex is bad. They just like put this label, sex is bad. And so by putting this label on it, they're like, this is the best way to prevent it. If you go to any medical facility and they say, what is your form of birth control? And I say condoms, right? And then I ask them, what are the other options, right? If I say, what are other options to prevent pregnancy? They say, okay, well, condoms are 97% effective. Birth control is like 99% effective, but the 100% effective way is abstinence, right? So at the end of the day, like, no matter what, like, it's just, it's this conversation, right? It's being able to understand that, like, yes, there's no sex, but then there's also sex, and you have this whole like degree here that you need to address. So for me, I think that like that in itself like answers the question, right? So yeah.
Perfect. So I see that you have a workshop at the end of April coming up. So I would love to, love you to just give some kind of information as to what you're planning to do and, how to join. So if there's anybody who wants to join, they would be able to do that.
Yeah, for sure. So I will be having every quarter I host one sex education workshop. We had one in February, right before Valentine's Day, so people could prepare for that. So this coming up second quarter, I plan to have one at the end of April. And this time we're really going to talk about insecurities, sex insecurities when it comes to sex, right? And then how to overcome that. So that's going to be the topic that I'll be talking about this upcoming sex workshop, Sex on My Mind with Yashu Rao, hashtag Happy Yashu. So be sure to come for that. It'll be on a Zoom. And you'll be able to purchase tickets and whatnot through the link that I will be providing soon. So y'all will be able to do that. It's super affordable. It's only going to be $5, y'all, $5. And the reason I put even the money charge on there is because accountability. When I see that people put the money there, they're going to come there. They're going to come prepared to take notes and listen. And I want that. I want that accountability. So $5, that's it, $5 to come attend the workshop. You learn, you ask questions, you get to ask me questions, one-on-one questions, like right there. If you need to, you can ask me. I'll be there to answer your questions. So yeah, it's going to be a really healthy, happy conversation. I'm excited. I want it to be fun. I'm going to have some icebreaker games and stuff, get you guys involved. Great energy. We're coming through with good energy, good vibes, but it's more so on an educational level. So please do attend if you're trying to learn. If you have insecurities, this is a great one to attend so that you can learn how to get past your insecurities regarding sex. We all have them. I have them. We gotta get past it.
Perfect. So, guys, we actually have another episode with Yashu. It's called Sex Gets Sexier with Yashu Rao. So, don't miss that. It comes right after this one. So, please keep watching. Thank you so much, Yashu. Thank you for your time today. We look forward to having more sessions with you, and thank you for everything. Take care.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much. And for all of you who are tapping in, be sure to check me out on Instagram at the Yashu Rao, TheYashurao. And be sure to check me out, happyyashu.com. If you have questions, concerns, if you're trying to look for some support when it comes to life, if you're trying to find out more information about any of the workshops that I do, the podcast, anything, be sure to let me know, DM me, email me, message me. You got me. I got you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.